everything is grey and dull. The air is thick and the leaves of the trees and the furniture in your home are all covered in that same grey dust.
Your eyes are watering, your chest feels like it's full of wool, your nose is blocked, your throat is constantly scratchy and raw. You cannot breathe, and if you do, the air that enters your lungs is not the life-giving air your lungs really need.
This is unfortunately the story of everyone who's living in Delhi right now, which is our capital city, India's capital city, and it's turning that city into a gas chamber every winter. Welcome to Takaro. I'm Kiran, and as you may have guessed, this week we're talking about Delhi.
That's right. Delhi is struggling with something that happens to it every year this time of the year, in fact.
Yeah, it's like clockwork, right?
Yeah, it's like clockwork. It's been struggling with a terrible case of air pollution. In fact, this time it's been so bad that, people have reported that the AQI has actually gone above 500.
That's crazy. That is crazy. And what does AQI stand for?
AQI is basically, do you want to guess, Kiran?
No, this is not quiz time. Come on.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. So AQI is basically air quality index. It's just a way of measuring exactly what your air is like. Yeah. So for example, we assign different numbers to the type of air around us, right? It starts with 0, obviously, from the very beginning, 0 to 50, which means the air is super clean, right? So when you go up into the mountains, up into the hills, you feel that crisp air around you. That is an AQI of 0 to 50. And there's also a color grade that we give it. So that's green, right? And then the next level is yellow. Yeah. And the next level is yellow, where it's 51 to 100, which is the air is okay. You can be a little careful if you have breathing issues, but more or less it's fine. Then you have orange. And as you know how these color grades work in most cases, right?
Yep.
As it gets warmer and warmer, it gets more and more dangerous. So orange is 101 to 150, not so great. It's like a really, really dusty room. Okay for some people, but if you have breathing problems like asthma or, other issues, then, you need to be careful. Yep. Red means danger everywhere, right? So red is 151 to 200, really bad air. Then there is purple, which is anything above 201. And then there is maroon, which is anything above 301. Now, this is like the worst air quality. And Delhi was at 500. So can you imagine how bad?
That's crazy. So basically the AQI helps us understand if we should go out, if we should stay inside, whether we should buy air purifiers in our homes and just lock ourselves in. Masks. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then of course now, the most recent AQI levels have come down a little bit, but it's still above 300. So it means it's still in the hazardous danger zone, right? But why does this happen? And that is something that we need to get into, right? Why does Delhi struggle with, such terrible smog? You know what smog is, right? Smog is just basically you take fog and you take smoke and you combine them and it becomes smog, right? Why does it happen every year?
So basically smoke. So then we're talking about, the pollution from cars and buses and vehicles.
The usual.
Yeah, the usual suspects. Then for smoke, maybe it's also, factories. So near Delhi, in and around Delhi, there are a lot of factories. It's been a traditional manufacturing hub as well. So that contributes. What else could be part of the smoke factor? Maybe Diwali and firecrackers.
Definitely.
There's so much of that happens. What else could it be?
And there's one thing that happens every year, and this is like a seasonal tradition almost, which happens mostly in the neighboring states around Delhi, from Punjab, UP, Haryana, where after the harvest season, agricultural states, after the harvest season, which is right before winter sets in, they burn the leftover plants. They burn everything that, all the stubble. It's called stubble burning. And this makes a lot of smoke, and this smoke blows into Delhi. Just that's how the wind flows. This adds to the pollution as well.
And obviously when you combine weather, it starts getting really cold in Delhi. It's like in the single digits. And when it's winter, the air becomes heavier, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't move. There's not that much breeze. There's no sun. So that kind of almost closes out the entire
Yeah.
city,
It's like a
right?
blanket.
And everything
Yeah.
just, it's like a blanket. It just forces it to stay there. So what has the government done has the government done anything over here?
I mean, see, this is what happens every year, right? We keep reading the news and hearing in the news that, okay, the government has issued warnings. You have to stay indoors as much as possible. In fact, this time when it touched 500, they basically said, okay, let's go back to online school. It's like a throwback to COVID-19 all over again.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Go back to online school. Let's do half the office, or let's have a half and half rule where first half of the day one group of people can go to work, second half the other group. So that, reducing the amount of traffic on the roads. They've also a big contributor to this pollution is also construction, right? Like if you've looked around,
of course,
any city in India right now looks like it's under construction, right? It's a work in progress, whether it's in Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi even, right? So construction is adding a lot of that concrete dust into the air. So the government has said, okay, any non-essential construction, I don't know how exactly they classify that, but any non-essential construction, we should, stop that as well, right? Trucks, seeing those billowing smoke that comes out of the trucks on the highways, right? They've said, okay, non-essential trucks, stop plying the roads. So there's a lot of things that the government is, telling people to do. They're also doing things like, sending out water tankers because like you said, Kiran, the air is so heavy, the smog just lays like a blanket all around us. So they're sending on water tankers to sprinkle some water into the air to try and settle that air down a little bit, settle all that dust down a little bit so it doesn't fly up. But I mean, these are all temporary measures, right? I don't know how much it's helping.
And I think they're also now contemplating whether or not to do cloud seeding, right? And cloud seeding is a very, very simple concept where you take an aeroplane, you go up into the clouds and you add actually some salt or chemicals into the cloud, which makes the clouds release their water, right? So you actually are forcing rain to kind of happen, releases its moisture. And so the hope is that that water, which is being released by the clouds, the kind of cloud seeded rain can help bring down all the dust, can pull down all the pollutants that are hanging in that air. I think that visual of things just hanging in the air is something you should just think about, right? It's not nice. It's not pretty. And none of these long-term fixes, they're all fixes for now.
For now, exactly. Yeah, and cloud seeding, right? I mean, we've done it before. They're still trying to get permissions to do cloud seeding, but a lot of scientists, in fact, are saying that this is not going to work because ultimately, what are you doing, right? You are going to add more chemicals maybe into the clouds to bring down this rain. This rain will come down. It will probably clear up for a little bit of time, a few hours, maybe a day, who knows? And then it will be back again because the smog isn't going away anyway. You're not blowing it out of existence, right? You're just temporarily fixing this. So till you actually go and address the root causes of pollution, you're not going to be able to solve this problem.
And maybe it's the worst in Delhi and the most people are affected by it, but it's not like other parts of the country are doing, that much better either. The AQI is constantly going up in many other cities as well, right? And I think it's a problem that we need to think about. The last episode or the couple of episodes ago, we talked about the climate change conference.
Yes.
And I think the reason countries are so concerned is because if you have this pollution persisting, and think about it, you cannot go out. How do you go to school? How do you go to work? How do shops stay open? How do people make their lives work? It becomes almost impossible, right? And which is why more and more we need to start thinking about how we can be responsible. Because it may be just 3 or 4 months where it peaks to 300, but it's not like Delhi's air quality is that good through the year anywhere. But same with Bangalore, with Bombay, with Hyderabad, with all the big cities, all of them with so much development. So I think we really need to think about how we can do our part.
Yeah, because and it is affecting everyone's health, right? Especially as we mentioned earlier, right? This affects The elderly, a lot more. It affects little children a lot more.
Yep.
Because your lungs are growing, you're really young. So it is really affecting, this part of the population. Hospitals are reeling with the number of patients coming in with pneumonia, bronchitis, and hundreds of other, lung diseases that they have to deal with. So much so, I was reading, they're even talking about special insurance for your lungs. I mean,
oh God,
the kind of things that we have to do, but insurance is just going to help you make sure that you have access to healthcare. You can pay the bills. But how do you stop it? How do you stop, falling sick in the first place? So right now, all I know is people have been talking to air purifiers inside the house. If you have them, great. If you don't have them, try and close all the windows and stay indoors as much as possible. Use a mask when you step out. Keep monitoring your AQI. And more importantly, make sure that you ask the adults around you to help hold the government responsible and accountable for this situation, right? Unless there's a noise that's made about it, then this problem is not going to go away, right? So whether it's petitions, whether it's working with local NGOs, whatever it is, there are steps that can be taken to fix this problem.
So, Debbie, what about us at home? Yes, we can do a lot. We can do petitions with the government and, step up our sort of movement towards a better life and hold accountable the government, the local bodies, whoever it may be. But what can we do individually, as kids and as families?
Yeah, well, for one of the most important things that we could do is possibly stop taking the car out as often, right? Carpool more. Yeah. Carpool more. Like, combine so that each family is not taking out a separate car with just two people in it every time they have to go somewhere. Right? That might
or don't get Swiggy and Zomato and Blinkit for one item, right? Because that's causing someone to use a vehicle to just pick up one item where you could have just gone out and got it yourself. So all of those things, just simple things. Start thinking about it. As kids, you also hold a lot of power and, you can also start kind of making a change. And I think with that, we're going to end this episode. It's something that we can keep talking about forever. But as always, go to our website, www.takarokids.com. And if you have something to say, if you have something to contribute, if you want to shout out, go out and leave us a message or on our Instagram handle. Again, maybe not you. Maybe you can ask your parents to do it. But yeah, with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening in. Until next week, it's goodbye from both of us. Bye.
Bye-bye.